Joining me tonight, Robert Colbert, Deputy Chief of Police in Panama City, Dr. Paul Hokemeyer, a family therapist, and one of our heroes, Ginger Littleton, the courageous school board member who tried to stop the attacker, hit him with her purse. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. Let me begin with you, Ginger. You know, when I watched this video and I saw you interviewed, I'm thinking to myself, Ginger, and I think people across this country were thinking to themselves, if we were ever in that position, my goodness, would we have the courage, the selflessness that you had yesterday trying to save your colleagues' lives? Ginger, absolutely amazing what you did yesterday.
Well, thank you. I'm not sure that it was amazing. Looking back, it was probably not the smartest thing I ever did, but I had friends and colleagues sitting there and literally sitting ducks at the mercy of this man who, in my mind, there was no doubt that he was going to kill every one of them very soon.
Yeah, let's take a listen to it, because if we turn up the sound on it and listen to it, we can hear people pleading with you, Ginger, don't do it.
Go ahead.
Who's your wife? School board didn't have anything to do with it.
No, Ginger. No, Ginger.
Oh.
Ginger, can you answer the question why today? You've had a little bit of time to reflect, and I want to thank you so much for joining us. I know it's been a long day of speaking to a lot of us in the media, but could you answer for us tonight just the question why? Why
I did what seemed like a silly, stupid thing?
Heroic. You can say silly and stupid. I say heroic.
I think that you can be afraid, and when you're afraid, you may have choices, and you're afraid that a choice that you make is not going to be the right one, so it results in terror. For me, there wasn't any choice. I had my colleagues sitting there. I knew that in just a very few seconds they would all be dead, and I was the only one. We didn't have any cavalry. We didn't have any white horses coming in that we had to stall, divert, diffuse, do anything we could do to buy some time so that we could get Mike Jones, who was actually the savior of the day, in there to do what he did, and you've already seen that on the video. So all I did was react. I tried very hard to get the gun out of his hand. Obviously that failed. Having realized that it failed, he said, "You stupid," and used the B word, and quite frankly, in my own mind, I'm thinking, well, you're probably right in that assessment, because I didn't have a plan B.
Deputy Chief, let's talk about that man, Mike Jones. That's the security officer who was able to get the suspect down in there. How's he doing tonight?
I actually have spoken with Mr. Jones earlier today. He is doing well. Spoke with him and his family. They came by the police department, and he's actually doing very well.
That's good to hear. Now, another hero I want to talk about is the superintendent, because he's up there sitting in the middle, and he's got his colleagues next to him, and just like they do in the movies, he's trying to get this hostage taker to let everyone else go, but keep him there. To me, that was absolutely breathtaking, amazing, heroic. Dr. Paul Hokemeyer, explain to us how this happens. I understand when they script it in a movie and someone wants to, all right, just take me, but let my colleagues go. This man actually did it with a gun pointed right at him. He had to think that he was going to get shot and killed, but he was trying to save the lives of everyone else that was up there. How does someone get to that point where they're going to put their own life at greater risk than it could possibly be to save people that he works with right next to him, Doctor?
Well, I think this is a story of extraordinary courage and how we as human beings can step up to the plate when we're required to do that. We know that in response to stress, we have three responses. We have fight, flight, and freeze. And I think fortunately for everybody in that room, we had people who were able to fight and fight in very significant ways. I mean, I think Ginger's extraordinary. She says that there were no white horses coming up to save them, and yet she has this wonderful white suit on, and she basically saved the day by her act of heroism. And I think too, in terms of the superintendent, who was able to fight, not physically, but he was able to fight with words and with reason. So again, it's an extraordinary, extraordinary tale.
Absolutely is. Still ahead, our guests will stay with us. We're going to dive into this guy's background, creepy messages on his Facebook, and the chilling link to the movie V for Vendetta.
If you're gonna kill yourself or kill us or whatever, at least let us know what's going on. Because I'll be very honest with you. I swear, I don't know who your wife is or what she did.
Back now with new developments on this terrifying shooting at a school board meeting down in Panama City, Florida. The gunman, Clay Duke, killed himself after being taken down by a security guard. Miraculously, everyone else survived. I want you to take a look. You see that V that he's painting there? Look at it side by side now with the V that was painted in that room and the symbol from the movie V for Vendetta. Take a look. It's exactly the same. I want to bring back the Deputy Chief. Deputy Chief, I understand that a copy of this movie was found at where he lives?
That's correct. Earlier this morning, about 3 o'clock, detectives were able to do a search warrant of Mr. Duke's residence in a neighboring county. And when they did, they found several notations to the movie V for Vendetta, as well as a counterfeit bootleg copy of the movie inside his DVD player.
So it was actually in the player, so he had just watched it.
From all indications were he either had or just recently had watched the movie. That's correct.
Unbelievable. Let's go to the phone lines. Renee is in New Hampshire tonight. Good evening, Renee.
Hi, how are you?
Unbelievable. How about these heroes, Renee?
Well, I commend Ginger for what she did. I understand the danger, but I also feel as a society we don't stand up for the people like we should. We have people getting beat up on the streets, and as bystanders, people walk by. You know, what has the society... What have we become as a society? Where's our compassion and our help for our fellow man?
You're so right, Renee. Thanks so much for the call. Ginger, it would have been so easy for you. He said, all the women and children, get out of here. You could have just ran out to safety, Ginger. You came back in. What was the reaction of your family when they saw this and heard about it and everything else? What did they say, Ginger?
2 things, Mom. Are you just crazy, and what were you thinking?
Yeah, they gave you a big old hug, though, huh?
They did. My family's awesome, and they've been very supportive. But they were scared, obviously. They knew that the consequences could have been dire, but by that time, luckily, it was over anyway.
Yeah, did it seem like it took forever? Was it moving in slow motion for you, actually experiencing it, or did it go by really quickly? What was it like?
I think the slow motion piece is accurate. Him walking down the hall, the aisle, coming to the podium, it seemed in my mind it took him a while to make that circle with the V and then pull the gun out. And at that point, obviously, we knew that things were not going to end as a normal board meeting, and then it began to speed up just a bit. But, yeah, I think the slow motion piece, and it still kind of is like that. It's still very surreal.
Absolutely. Let's take, on his Facebook page, this is what the government had written under his political views. He labels himself a freedom fighter, and this term was used in V for Vendetta, the movie, which is about a shadowy freedom fighter known only as V, who uses terrorist tactics to fight against his totalitarian society. Then in his bio, he says, my testament, some people will say I was evil, a monster. No, I was just born poor in a country where the wealthy manipulate, use, and abuse and economically enslave 95% of the population. Scary stuff, but heroic stuff as well tonight. Ginger, so glad you're okay. Give our best to your superintendent, who's another hero tonight, as well as the security officer. Deputy Chief, thanks so much. And Dr. Paul Hokemeyer, thank you as well. Thank you.